We've been on a journey through prayer here in the Form.life, and we've been asking this question on Mondays. You've been hearing testimonies around how we've seen God at work through prayer. And even as I thought about answering that question in my own life, I could tell you stories about how God really has surprised me in some pretty astounding ways, and answering prayers that I didn't even know I was asking, answering prayers I was explicit in asking, sometimes answering desires that I hadn't yet asked for. But I don't want to focus there today. I'd rather focus on the ways in which mainly the majority of our prayers land, or at least it feels that way, as if God is not working through prayer. And honestly, sometimes when God does answer in pretty extraordinary, explicit ways, it makes those times when He doesn't seem to answer in explicit ways more painful, right? Because you begin to ask yourself, what does it mean about God or about my prayer or about my walk with God that when I came pleading, crying, He didn't meet me in my longings? Specifically, as a pastor, I get to pray with people and walk alongside of people. In many ways, that's an experience of every Christian, but it's especially a part of my vocation. And so I get to pray alongside of people I admire, I look up to, frankly, that have spoken into my life. And there's just one story specifically of one friend. Man, we've had these moments of deep prayer. I mean, half hour, 45 minutes, tears, prayer that busts out into song and then goes back to prayer. Like these moments of deep intimacy with the Lord. And in those spaces, we've been crying out for her healing. That God would actually break in and do it for His glory, right? That He would do it for her good, that she would experience a breaking in of heaven here on earth that would spread His fame, that would build a greater plausibility for the gospel, all the things. And yet, in the midst of all of that, she's never been healed. I mean, and this isn't just like something we've prayed for once. It's not something we've prayed for twice. I mean, we're going on years now. In these moments of deep intimacy, and yet nothing changes. From at least our point of view, from where we're seated. What do you do when, you're asking God to work and it seems like He's silent and you hit a wall? Because even frankly, if things go the opposite direction, that's at least something. But when it feels like nothing is happening in the midst of prayer, what do you do? And for me, I'm just reminded again and again across the pages of Scripture that when it seems like God isn't working, I can't trust His work. I trust His character. That He's still good. That He's still the one who sent His Son Jesus to die on the cross. That He's still the one that after 400 years of slavery for the people of Israel in Egypt, He had a plan of redemption that He was working out, even though we couldn't see it, because of who He is, that He is merciful, He is steadfast in love, that He's the one who would give His own Son, but then He would not abandon His Son in the grave, and that He would actually promise and bring about resurrection, and He's promised to come and do that in and for us too. In those moments when I don't see God working at all, and I pray and I earnestly pour out my heart, and I do it alongside of other believers who I think are frankly a lot more holy than me, that are doing things a lot better than me, and we just don't get anywhere. I remember that God is indeed working somewhere. And He's always working towards my good. And so if there's anything in the midst of all these stories of remembering how God indeed does work through prayer, in those moments, and maybe that's you, maybe a house that you're trying to buy fell through, maybe you're praying for that child and you can't conceive, maybe you're looking for that special someone in your life, whether it be a cherished friendship or a spouse, and that's just not coming to fruition. Maybe you're looking for a job and it's not being realized, and you've been on this journey way longer than you ever thought you would, and you're wondering if God will ever work through prayer. Rest in His character. He is a good God, always and forever. And even when we can't see it, He's working.